here that does feeding, and they give out packages. There's a testing station right down here. So I'm going to start out and talk to the nurses. Then we can go inside, and they're going to open these gates, and people are going to line up, and they're going to pass out all this stuff. And then we'll go in and take a look at what they're passing out. Hi, your nurses here. You're doing a testing station today, right? Can I ask you what you're going to do?
So we're doing coronavirus testing for people in the community in Skid Row. And we're pretty much doing a nasal swabs for people that would be interested in signing up for testing. And just providing them with resources if they are experiencing any symptoms or if they just need housing.
So you're testing on Skid Row at LACAN, Wellness Wednesday.
Yes.
Thank you so much. What's your name?
My name is Delissa.
Hi, Delissa. Are you a nurse?
I'm an RN, yes. I'm a nurse.
You're an RN?
Yes.
Glad you're here.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Once this line happens, they're going to put on some music and start, and it's going to be loud, so it'll be very hard to hear anybody. So we're going to go inside and see what's in the bags and what they're giving out. Hey, Jojo, you tell me who you are, where we are, and what's going on here?
All right, so hello everybody. My name is JoJo Smith, and we're standing in front of the Los Angeles Community Action Network,
LACAN.
LACAN. Today is Wellness Wednesday. Because of Corona-19, the city has walked away from Skid Row, and because we are a pillar of this community, we understand that we got to make sure people eat because food is a human right. You know, housing is a human right. Education is a human right. Medical care is a human right. And so today, like I said, is Wellness Wednesday. And for viewers that are viewing, you'll see how Skid Row gets down, how we show love, because this is a community of love, a community of people that are dealing with health problems. If it's not mental health, it's physical health, it's addiction, and this is a healing community.
One of the things people don't understand about Skid Row is that it's a community, actually, as opposed to a lot of the other homeless camps. Can you let me in, please? We're going to go inside and see what they're putting in the bags. And hi, what's your name? What are you doing here today?
Sean, Gregory, helping out.
Just helping out, whatever, right?
Yeah, I usually bring the food from inside and keep the tables replenished while they pass it out.
Right, and people are going to line up and come in, and we're going to go inside and take a look.
Yeah, people are going to get a chance to wash their hands. They're going to get a mask because, we want to make sure people are safe because this is our community. Like, we are our brother's sister's keeper.
Right, Skid Row, LACAN motivated quickly and mobilized and put out hand sanitizers while the city was doing
nothing. Like, the city in the beginning put out one porta potty and put out one hand sanitation stand every 3 blocks. And when you're dealing with a community that's anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 people any given day, that's not enough, And so LACAN, as a fight back organization, has to make sure that Skid Row is taken care of.
So there's a community mobilizing for itself through LACAN and taking care of the needs that the city has not taken care of. All right, I'm going to go inside and see what's in the bag, see what you're giving out. So this is LACAN, Los Angeles Community Action Network on Skid Row. It's a beautiful place, and that's the boss right there, Pete White. Excuse me. Hi, Sam, you're my favorite person on Facebook. Everything you post, I'm right there with you. I'm live streaming. Will you talk to me in a minute?
Huh?
I'm live streaming.
You know my voice, Sam.
Okay, great. Whenever you get a chance. Yeah. Thank you.
Are you live
Adam.
streaming now?
Yeah, hi Colorado, hi Chicago. Oh, look, Chicago's in the house. Who are you? Where are we? What's going on?
I'm Adam Rice. I'm a human rights organizer with LACAN. We are at the Los Angeles Community Action Network, fulfilling the Huey Newton's order of survival pending revolution.
Will you show me what's in there, what's in the bag, and what you're going to do?
Yeah.
What you're giving out? Okay, we're going to follow Adam in here and see what this is the room. Everybody's getting ready.
I couldn't resist. So I asked him, why would you get a can? Because you're celebrating not his birthday.
I knew he was going to make that joke. He was trying.
I couldn't resist.
I didn't want to. So, as you see, we got white chicken.
You're talking about yourself?
No, I'm talking about the food in there, but, thank you for making French joke again.
Thank you.
You
Happy birthday.
Thank you. French, it is. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's hard being 25. It's hard. It's hard. But, so you got your fresh salad made here from vegetables out the rooftop garden. You got your Subway sandwich, several canned goods, healthy food. You got about 6 pieces of fruit in here. You got snacks. You got a hygiene kit. You got masks. What people need to survive. Like I said, survival pending revolution.
So this is LACAN, the community mobilizing and taking care of its needs in the lack of more services from the community.
Oh, absolutely.
From the city.
I mean, out front, we're doing COVID testing, everything that the city has refused to actually do, unless there's a camera around. We do every Wednesday and Sunday. This is Wellness Wednesday, Sunday strong, So if you're hungry, if you need some help, or better yet, if you want to help people, come on down, give us a call, and LACAN up, man.
Thank you. LACAN up. So look at this. Hello, Puerto Rico. Hello, Los Angeles. LACAN, you guys rock. That's right, Dog Walker. LACAN rocks. I'm going to go over here and talk to some more people. Oh, please. Everybody here is obviously volunteering and just here. Look at this. Let me just show you what the operation looks like here. So we're on Skid Row in Los Angeles, where there is, by my estimation, well over 150,000 people unhoused living in this street. And Skid Row is a big community. It's an epicenter. Jojo a minute ago said there's 10,000 people on the street here, but there's many, many more people in varied states of houselessness here on Skid Row and in Los Angeles. Let me see if I can get this guy to talk to us. He's very shy. Hi, how are you? Can I interrupt you for a sec?
Beautiful.
Hey, who are you? What are you doing?
This is Brother Pancake here, community organizer for Los Angeles, California, LACAN. We just have our assembly line going here. This time of COVID pandemic, they had to stop and we had to modify. And for the last 10 weeks, I guess we've been passing out produce to our community.
Produce that's growing on the roof here.
Well, this is used as a site where staples are brought for distribution,
Right.
if you know what I mean.
I do.
Like a warehouse, banking. So we believe that food is a human right. That's why we're here. It's about community. What's your name again?
Sam.
Sam I am.
Come on.
I said, come on.
Thank,
Sam I am.
thank you.
You're welcome, Sam. That's what we're doing.
So the lineup's going to happen outside. People are already starting to line up. And once that happens, they're going to be playing music. So it's going to be hard to hear. Yes, Subway sandwiches. So this is LACAN, the community mobilizing for itself. There's a rooftop garden here where they grow vegetables, and that's what Adam, the birthday boy, was telling us and pointing out. Hi, you want to talk to my live stream for a minute? When you're ready, whenever you got it.
Let me get some of my hygiene kits over here if I may.
Oh, let me see. Hi, you ready for me?
Yeah,
Can you please tell me who you are, where you are, and what you're doing here?
yeah, man. I'm Pastor Q from the Church Without Walls, Skid Row, at LACAN. We're doing Wellness Wednesdays. Been doing it since COVID, right? Trying to respond to the needs on the ground. And so that's what I'm doing here today. We're about to feed some folks and do some COVID-19 testing right outside and be uh, responsive, but at the same time, there's some things that we're doing on the proactive end as well.
The community of Skid Row is massively underserved by the city government, but I think maybe people have started to get a new idea, and that is, turns out we actually all are one.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody here is sick, good luck in Brentwood, because it's
Right.
not gonna. What I follow a lot of your posts. Who are you outside of LA Can? What do you do?
Yeah, well, I pastor the Church Without Walls right down the street. Been doing that for the past 14 years right here in Skid Row. And as it relates to us being one, yeah, because obviously the contrast though is interesting because many believe that the virus got here because of people who had the resources to travel. Right, many of the folks in Skid Row don't have the resources to travel, but folks who have the resources and the means, who live in Bel Air and all of these communities. As a matter of fact, when we first got the first report for COVID-19, those communities had higher cases, and as a result of that, eventually uh, it spread throughout the community. And of course, the community spread is more because in our community because we have a higher density. But there's always a silver lining, right? Those who live on the street actually are less infected than those who live in hotels. I mean, not hotels, but shelters, which means that it makes our case for more housing. And folks are always advocating for shelters. Shelters are temporary. We don't need to be herding people into a huge facility. It's not even healthy long term. Right? So what we need is housing for folks. Even when folks are on the street, you'll notice that they'll have some sense of ownership because they'll have their own tent. Can't do that in a shelter, right? So if you study the street, listen, observe, pay attention to the people, you're going to see what they need because they'll tell it to you.
No separate, but yeah, it's institutionalized systemic racism coming right through the policies, and so in this magic moment with all of these people from all over the world coming out to show love and support for Black people,
Mm-hmm.
the whole world, especially in this country, but of course beyond. This is the time to like really catalyze, take the energy of that, and use it. How do you do that?
Well, obviously, there's some things that we've been doing. I'm also part of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. So we've started the whole defund police thing. Some of that is actually taking place. I was on the phone yesterday, texting, trying to talk to some folks on the school board to actually vote for the initiative that Students Deserve and BLM and some other folks and community members were asking for, and that we wanted to defund the police and get them out of our schools. So it wasn't the victory that we expected, but it was a victory nevertheless that we were able to get them to decrease that budget by 35% and get the police officers out of our schools. And so there's some success there. And so we're continuing that, right? And we've been calling for defunding of the LAPD, defunding police, divesting from police, reimagining public safety, building and investing into the new things that we reimagine, systems that are going to be safe for black folks, brown folks, and all folks, right? Not just some folks. So we don't want segregated uh, uh, systems that protect folks. We don't want segregated systems of public safety anymore. We want real public safety.
So that is the future and the goal and all that. You said BLM LA, Black Lives Matter LA. I don't know that a lot of people realize how much work went into this moment. And I was at that Trayvon March in
Mm-hmm.
2013, the birth of
Mm-hmm.
BLM.
Mm-hmm.
Patrice and Melina Abdullah and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been part of this, and and I just wanted to ask you if you could speak to, like, this isn't something that just happened.
No.
This is something that people have been working on for decades in Los Angeles.
Here's the example, right? Prior to COVID-19, 50 black community, over 50 black community organizations got together to come up with about 55, demands. Demands for the black community.
The BLMLA demands, yeah.
Yeah, right. But it was 50 organizations came together. It was convened by Melina from BLMLA. The 50 organizations got together to come up with those demands prior to George Floyd. It was during the COVID-19 crisis when we realized that the system is actually producing what it was designed to produce, and that is the outcome. And again, with every institution, black folks are going to end up on the bottom, right? And so COVID-19 affected black folks predominantly more than everybody else. And so we came up with some demands and stuff that we wanted. In the process of that, the mayor presented a budget that they were going to vote on. And in the budget, they cut programs across the board. And the only institution, the government institution that they gave a raise was the LAPD, $200 million. We started looking at that, saying, no, that's not good. So some folks came up with the People's Budget.
And that's a website, peoplesbudget.com.
Right. And so came up with the People's Budget. And now, after George Floyd, then the mayor made a pivot from that. But we had already been working on that. Right. The mayor made a pivot from, and we had already been putting pressure on him. George Floyd was just some fuel for that movement. And now you see Minneapolis had voted to dismantle their police department. Here in Los Angeles, we asking for defund the police and to divest and invest in things that really help our community.
Yeah, people. Pastor Q, how do people find you online?
Creating Justice LA on Instagram. At Creating Justice LA on Instagram. I think that's the easiest way.
Got it.
And then I'm on Facebook, but if you find Creating Justice, you'll find me.
Yeah, I love all your stuff on Facebook. Thank you so much for taking a minute.
Thank you.
Pete, will you talk to me for a sec?
Yep.
Okay, no rush. Hamid, you want to talk to me? It's just Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hi, can you tell me who you are, where we are, and what's going on?
Pete White. You are in the heart of Skid Row. This is the Los Angeles Community Action Network. If you don't know, now you know.
You've been at it for so long. It's about policy, isn't it, in some ways?
I mean, it's about policy. It's about leadership development. It's about organizing. It's ultimately about power building, right? We know that a lot of, when we look at the books in the city of Los Angeles, the books look really, really progressive, right? The policies look really, really progressive, right? And you would ask, why is the sort of policy so progressive, but the outcomes so oppressive, right? The policies reflect the work of organizations like Los Angeles Community Action Network for decades, saying this is what our vision, this is what the new North Star of a just and an equitable city should look like. The place where we all fall down is having the resources to make sure implementation goes as planned. And so for us, the only way to make sure implementation goes as planned is that we continue to organize the community's capacity to know, one, what they fought for, two, what was won, and three, what it will take to make manifest those things that will change the material conditions in our lives.
It's a magic moment, right? In a movement. But this is definitely a magic moment, undeniable. The whole world came out and showed love and support for black people in America. That's a result, I believe, of a lot of work that you and a bunch of other people are doing. How do you codify it? What's the plan?
Yeah, man. So we've been doing work on behalf of black folks from day one, right? We've always been unapologetically black, right? We've always been able to talk about the ways in which harm happens across races, but how disproportionately black folks are like pelted by it, right? And so this movement is impressive and important. But we've got to sort of hold this movement in its proper perspective, right? There's lots of things that are being offered right now, right? $150 million here, and let's defund the police and take them out of LAUSD, right? But there's so much more on the table that has to happen. And so, for me, if there's any message that I have to folks who are listening, it's do not go home. Stay in the streets. 150 million ain't enough, right? We're looking at billion-dollar budgets. We're looking at austerity is what we're really looking at, and we need to make sure we go into these city coffers and interrogate where the waste is at, and then taking that waste and applying it in our communities in ways that really make us safe. I think it's important to remind folks it was Dr. Martin Luther King in his letter from a Birmingham jail in 1964 that said, "My people, the Negroes, are smothered in an airtight cage of poverty." And then he said, the most important thing people, what do you say? The most egregious form of violence facing the Negro, that's what they was calling us then, I'm black now, is poverty, right? And so people oftentimes forget that poverty in itself is violent. And so you get a double dose of violence. You get poverty, and then you get policing on top. Policing that's supposed to replace social services programs. Policing that's supposed to replace housing. Policing that's supposed to replace jobs, right? Policing that's supposed to replace community-based services. And so you get the double and the triple whammy of violence in our communities.
Unbelievable. I know you're busy and you're in the middle of Wellness Wednesday. Well, last quick question. I went out to every one of these actions. There's a bunch of kids there, and the narrative was like, oh, there's no school, there's no clubs, there's no beach. The young people are just out in booty shorts on the back of trucks to party. I spoke to so many people. They were very clear on what they were doing there. It's not Occupy. Very focused. They're talking about voting. They're talking about policy. Everybody may be there for the party after, but they're there for the action, and they know why they're
Folks are in the
there.
streets. So this is what I say to that. I think anyone whose narrative is that young people are out for the party is part of the problem, right? I think it's those folks who are attempting to send those young folk home. The reality is there's never been a revolution in this country or anywhere else that wasn't fueled by young people. I think the other thing that's important to note about these particular young people, these are babies of Occupy. These are babies of the Black Lives Matter movement. These are babies of the LACAN movement. These are babies of the DSA movement across the country. And so what you have is the birth, right? The rebirth of a whole crop of young folks who have come up and are down for the get down and understand community power, community organizing, electoral engagement, and have an intimate sort of skill set to be heard. They know social media. A lot of these young folks are graphic designers. A lot of these young folks are going back to their homes and their families and flipping them and bringing them to the left, right? And so do not take the agency away. Don't attempt to take the agency away from these young folks. But I don't think you can anyway, because they're on these streets and they're about this business.
Very powerful. Thank you so much.
Got you, brother. Yep. Send me that stuff, man.
I will. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back in here. Just look, people are gonna start lining up soon. There's gonna be music. So I'm going to shoot that for a while, and then I'll sign off. Oh, that's a lot of stuff to give out. Hmm. Let's see if I can talk to this guy in a second. Oops, excuse me.
Elliot, where's your clicker?
Big Dogan, when you find your clicker, do you want to talk to me for a second on my live stream? Yeah, take your time. Take your time. I'll come back.
No.
Ready for me? Take your time. I'll come back around, all right? You all right? Here we go.
Check, 1, 2. Check it. I used to love to sing this song, but not no more. You know what I'm conflicted whether I should mess with this song or not. Talking that Trump stuff.
For the one, have you seen her? My second told me she have an ass like Serena, Trina, Zena, for Lopez.
Yeah. Yeah. We got food bags at LACAN. COVID-19 tested. Come get it. Yeah. No, I ain't saying she a gold digger.
She ain't messing with no broke niggas. Get down, girl, go ahead, get down. Get down, girl, go ahead.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Wellness Wednesday at the Los Angeles Community Action Network. We got Subway sandwiches. We got COVID-19 testing. We got what you need to keep you right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let me see it. What you got, Pete White? Yeah. Wobble. Yeah. Wobble. What you got? What you got, JoJo? See what you got. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. We got Subway sandwiches. We got COVID-19 tested. What you got? I like that mask you got on. Yeah. That's it. Right there. 9-foot curve. What you got? Yeah. Yeah.
Stay right there.
We got Subway sandwiches, food bags. We got COVID-19 testing. We got hand washing stations. We got some blanky plates for you. We got some masks for you. Make sure you keep your mask warm. Don't run up without the mic. Don't run up without the mask. Don't run up without the mask. Yeah. Wobble, baby. You better wobble out. Let me see you.
So there you go. Wellness Wednesday on Skid Row.
Wobble.